An income tax survey into BBC's offices in India has sparked off a political storm, a tempestuous one at that. While the BJP calls it probity, the opposition calls it a witch hunt for its docu-series, India, the Modi Question. Perhaps it's time to sift through the political rhetoric and bring you the facts as they stand now. Now, the IT department has not called it a raid on BBC, but a survey for probity as sleuths enter the Delhi headquarters and Mumbai offices. Sources say that they suspect tax evasion in international taxation and transfer pricing irregularities. In fact, they point to persistent and deliberate violation of norms and non-compliance by BBC for years. They've collected digital data and even seized the phones of BBC employees. On their part, the BBC says that they are cooperating with the IT authorities and hope that this situation is resolved soon. Meanwhile, the opposition has questioned the timing of this IT survey, linking it to the ban on the BBC series on Modi. They say that this is an undeclared emergency imposed by the BJP. For them, BJP is being persecuted, not prosecuted for dissent.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी बीबीसी से बहुत परेशान थी। आप उनके किसी के भी ट्विटर हैंडल्स देख लीजिए, उनके नेताओं के वक्तव्य देख लीजिए, उनके लिए बीबीसी पिछले एक महीने से सबसे बड़ा खतरा था। जिस तरीके से इन्होंने इन सबको कुचला है, ईडी के नाम पे, सीबीआई के नाम पे, इनकम टैक्स के नाम पे, दुनिया में आज एक मैसेज जा रहा है कि केंद्र सरकार, भारत की केंद्र सरकार एक न्यूज एजेंसी के पीछे इस तरीके की बदला की भावना से पड़ सकती है। इससे सिर्फ प्रधानमंत्री जी की या केंद्र की नहीं, पूरे भारत की छवि जो है खराब हो रही है।
Meanwhile, the Home Minister has lashed out at the BBC for targeting PM Modi since 2002. The BJP, on its part, has defended the IT department's probe, saying that it's not a caged parrot.
देखिए, सत्य जो होता है इस पर 1000 कॉन्स्पिरेसी कर लो, कुछ नहीं होता है। वो करोड़ों सूर्य की भांति तेजस्वी बनकर ही बाहर आता है। ये तो मोदी जी के पीछे 2002 से कर रहे हैं और हर बार मोदी जी मजबूत होकर, सच्चे बनकर और जनता की ज्यादा लोकप्रियता हासिल कर बाहर आए हैं।
But what really is the transfer pricing for which BBC is under the lens? Our colleague Siddharth Talia explains.
Now, what really is transfer pricing? Something for which the BBC has been under scrutiny as far as the tax authorities in India are concerned. Now, let's imagine there's a subsidiary company that's been operating in India with its parent company that's been based out of the United Kingdom. Now, both are related entities where the Indian company provides a service to the parent company in the UK for a price. Now, the cost that's been incurred by the Indian company to offer the service, let's assume, is at rupees 100, but is actually sold to the parent company at rupees 80. The parent company, therefore, incurs a benefit of rupees 20 due to the service offered at a cheaper price. Now, this is something that's counterproductive for the Indian tax authorities because the subsidiary company in India is, in essence, under-invoicing the services that's been offered to the parent company. Now, had this been a transaction between two completely unrelated entities, the Indian company would almost always sell the product to a foreign entity at a price that is higher than the cost incurred. The law mandates that even when it comes to related entities, such as an Indian subsidiary and its UK parent company, such transactions would have to be conducted at an arm's length. It is the nature of this specific transaction between its Indian subsidiary in India and the UK parent company, which is the BBC based out of London, that has been under the radar of the Indian income tax authorities.
All right, let's take this across, in fact, to our guest. Joining us is China NC spokesperson of the BJP, Khalikur Rahman, is the leader of the BRS. Mr. Khalikur Rahman, let's start with the most important crux of the issue first, which is of transfer pricing. Now, clearly, what we understand tax authorities are saying is that there is a parent company in the UK. There is, of course, an Indian subsidiary of it. And what services are provided from India, the charges that are actually is to be incurred are much less than what it should be as far as the actual cost is concerned. How do you see this? Because the IT department also says that they have actually been warning the BBC and sending notices on this for several years. That's the claim.
Good afternoon. In fact, here I say the timing of the income tax survey, which has been conducted today, and immediately after the BBC released the 2 documentaries on Prime Minister Modi. And this is definitely being pursued and seen as an attack directly on the BBC and a personal vendetta of our Prime Minister and the BJP party here. And because I don't really blame the income tax department here, but because they are working under the direct instructions and the directives of the government of India. So here, the transfer pricing, in fact, because as you said, everyone understands it. But what was the government of India doing for all these days? Why all of a sudden, the government of India, directed the income tax department to go and survey the office of the BJP here? So this is something I think which is very...
Okay, we'll put that question across. We'll put that question across the BJP, but the transfer pricing has not been answered. That says it's very much possible that this issue is there. You are also saying, but let's put that question across to Shaina NC. Shaina NC, this issue of transfer pricing, it's been there for several years now. Notices have been given. So why is it being taken now? Because the timing of this action, as the BRS spokesperson says, and other opposition parties have been maintaining since afternoon, and you would have heard them, is going to raise questions, because this is happening just weeks after the entire controversy surrounding the documentary related to the Prime Minister.
Firstly, let me please say that this is not an IT raid. This is a survey. And the tax authorities, if they feel there has been misappropriation, are well within their jurisdiction to do so. The IT authorities that have gone to the BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai, respectively, are in respect to multiple notices being sent and the BBC not even responding. Now, if you believe this is an ecosystem of targeting, I want to say this is an ecosystem of transparency. Why has the BBC not adhered to procedures? Why have they misappropriated funds, and why has there been a certain kind of transfer? We all know that there are subsidiaries to a parent company, and if that subsidiary provides services and you feel that you can get away without paying tax in India, that is not right. There is something called probity, and we want to ensure that services are paid for in exchange if there has been a conduction of business activities in India. Now, if you are going to constantly believe that this is a witch hunt, I would like to say this is not at all a witch hunt. This is the transparency that needs to be demanded for reasons best known to previous dispensations that chose not to respond, or the BBC that chose not to respond to the income tax authorities. The prices that were offered in the past, in the present, and what are the norms which they must come under their jurisdiction are all known to them.
Yeah,
so if
but
the
case itself, perhaps the case itself.
If they have under-invoiced services and believe that nobody is going to notice it,
but
it's
why
not
now?
Right and it's not correct.
But
so
why now is why the opposition is asking. Why now?
Survey,
Why wasn't this done earlier? Why were we waiting for several years is their question.
Sorry?
Why has the authorities, the tax authorities, why have they been waiting for so many years if they were giving notice year after year? And why have they decided to only take action now? That's the question that the BRS spokesperson just asked.
No. Look, the income tax authorities work as an independent ecosystem, and I don't think we should politicize this issue. The fact is that the BBC does stand for a brushed corporation which is trying to just meander and not pay what is legitimately due to the Indian dispensation and the Indian citizens. If a tax survey is based on a premise of a fundamental produced, they must respond. And it is not as if this is their fiefdom where they can declare when they choose to reply and when they choose not to.
Okay.
So if there is
What's interesting,
Mr.
Khaliqur Rahman, of course, I don't know what future statements will come out of the BBC, but at least the statement that has come out prima facie, the first statement, says that they are cooperating and they hope that this issue will be resolved. So while the opposition is saying that they are being targeted for that particular documentary, the BBC doesn't appear to be saying so.
let me tell you that it is very unfortunate that especially our agencies like the income tax, CBI, ED and all, it is for the last 8 years, seem to have lost their credibility. But otherwise, before that, these departments were never questioned for all the actions what they have done, whether they have gone in for the surveys, or they have raided the organization, or they have summoned or questioned any company or any individual or any politicians. But it is only since the government started using these agencies as its tools and the puppets. So that is the reason that these questions are being asked, for which I think our government is directly responsible for. And even the message what has gone outside our country today, that an agency like BBC, which in fact is supposed to be a highly credible agency, is being targeted by using the agencies like income tax here.
Okay, so once again the question, agencies being misused, and I'll tell you, Shaina, and see the allegation, there are 2 points that I've seen at least opposition leaders make. One is of course the entire question of whether this is a fallout of what has happened as far as documentaries are concerned, and the second point that is being asked is why is this happening just a day after Parliament budget session, first half has gotten over. Is the exact day after that such a raid takes place. So it's too much of a coincidence is what certain opposition parties seem to be observing.
I don't buy that for a minute. It could be just a sheer coincidence on terms of timing, but do understand that this is a brushed corporation that has chosen to do dossiers on the Prime Minister, released it, and obviously one knows their kind of agenda. There was the Indian community that has been protesting outside their headquarters in London and all parts of the UK. You have had a plea in the Supreme Court by citizens alike saying that we must ban this illegitimate BBC, but that is a separate issue. Now, in this kind of anti-India reporting and anti-India propaganda, if they feel they can also get away by not paying due taxes to the country, they've got a
of course, whatever is the law should apply to all, Shaina and C, but we're completely out of time. We'll have to leave it there for the moment. I'd like to thank you as well as Khaliqur Rahman for joining us and sharing with us your perspective. Of course, what will this entire probe bring out is also something that we're going to certainly watch out for very closely.